Hey guys, what's up? This Michel Laporte Godorn is live from Gothenburg, Sweden, and yeah, it's about 9:30 in the morning. Just going to talk a little bit about the fact that sales has never been more important for an entrepreneur or a startup to master than today, and the reason why. Me myself, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I've been speaking and talking and lecturing about sales in many different countries on different continents, and I can see it everywhere. I meet entrepreneurs around the world, and it's amazing to see how everything boils down to if someone will buy your product or not, or your service or not. Because today we have two kinds of two different people in business. You have the inventors and you have the people who are going to sell it. Okay, and usually sometimes they are both the same. But we need to understand that if nobody is buying your product or service, you don't have a business, and that's just it. And this is something that we need to understand that. When we say the word sales, I know for a fact that a lot of people just get, they want to throw up, because they have this picture that sales is somebody calling them up on their phone and just talking and this and that and so on. But in fact, that's not true. It has never been true, but it's not true today. By the way, this is a live session, so it's raw, uncut, and without any manuscript. So bear with me if I do a pause. Anyways, what I have seen is that we have this perception that sales is something bad, and of course, it's because many people has had bad experiences when it comes to sales. Some amateur called them up and just gave them a bad deal or whatever, and usually that's the picture that's stuck in the head, which creates a feeling when you hear the word sales. But let me give you something to think about, because when we talk about sales today, and especially for the entrepreneurial community, we have to understand that sales it's completely everywhere, and I think you're aware of this. But just to make it clear, it's basically everywhere. If you work in a bakery shop, or you're a lawyer, or you work in a restaurant, or you're a doctor, or whatever, you're engaged with sales, because sales it's communication. It's a transaction that has to be made, and in order for you to do that, you need to communicate. And the level you communicate on will determine the way, the level of business that you will attract and that you can conduct. And I can see this anywhere, as I said before. I have this international sales and business seminar that's arranged in my birth country of Seychelles every year. And we gather around 100 entrepreneurs and business owners and students that wants to start their businesses. And we have these amazing sessions and group session discussions forum where we talk about this subject, because what I can see is that we usually lack the confidence. It's not about the thing that, well, I think it's hard. I think it's that. I think the main reason why we are so scared in general when it comes to sales and the particular particular segment of my entrepreneurial journey, why we are so scared of it, is that we lack the confidence to go out there and really preach our product or service. And of course, it's the fear of rejection, it's the fear of opinions, etc. That's included in that. But mainly, I do want people to start to think about this. If you don't risk anything, I mean, as an entrepreneur, you have to take risks. That's not the big news, I know. But in order for you to build your business, having a solid base in your own sales skills will make sure that you will always stay independent as an entrepreneur. For an example, if you're a startup and you want to pitch your business to an investor, for an example, of course this investor will ask you, what was your sales? What is your projections? How are you going to sell this? And that is usually that's usually where most startups fail to attract their investors, because the sales cycle is not clear, especially if it hasn't been sold before. But also it's also a test. I believe it's like a test. I know a couple of investors as well, and I know for a fact that asking that question it's done because they do it because they want to see and find out more than just the answer itself. It's about seeing, all right, if all your money runs out, what are you going to do? And this is the thing, because everything around a business circles around money, of course. And in the end, you need money in order to have a business. And when you master your own sales process, somehow you become more independent. You look at the market, you look outside the window, and you see different things. You see behaviors out there. You see cultural behaviors. You see buying behaviors, etc. And you can manage to form your product or service in a way that suits the audience better when you know how to sell it. I'm just going to give you a nice example. I started the Vimentis platform, Vimentis VIP platform. It's an educational platform for entrepreneurs where we do basic sales training for entrepreneurs, and we have live workshop sessions as well, etc. And the thing is, what I saw was that it was so interesting, because one of the things that we saw was that a lot of people, when we started to pitch the platform, we did this mistake ourselves. We started to talk about sales platform and so on, but we stopped. We didn't practice what we preach. I was focusing on the product and not on the customer itself and the market itself, and taking into consideration that there is a big gap between knowing it's important and actually doing stuff. It's a big distance. I mean, you can take that rule to training or whatever. It's the same. But when we started to communicate and basically practice what we preach, and understand our customers from a broader perspective, we started to communicate on a whole new level. The product was the same, but once we made that change, everything basically changed. We started to sell the platform, memberships, and so on, like crazy. And it's amazing how we tend to focus as entrepreneurs and startups on the wrong end of the rope when it comes to our processes. But when we talk about sales, again, I always say it's not about a method, it's about a perspective. In the end, it's all about a perspective, a growth perspective. So if you really want to become an independent entrepreneur and truly master your own processes and so on, you need to develop your sales skills as an entrepreneur. And this is not a local thing like here in Sweden or in the US or in some countries in wherever you go, it's the same. But when we talk about sales for entrepreneurs, it's a whole different game than just to salespeople. Because salespeople in general, they have a product or a service, and they need to know this product or service, of course. But the big difference is that entrepreneurs need to understand the complete picture. you need to understand as I said, the cultural behavior in certain markets. You need to understand in what way your customers and clients are communicating. Or they want more details, or they just want, short, crisp facts and so on. So it's so important to understand that you can know your product, as you should. You should do a really good research on the market, of course, and you should know how to fund your business. But in the end, if you really know how to sell and why they buy, but if you really know these things, you become, in a way, more calm. You create confidence, as I talked about in the beginning of this session, and you will also develop more as you grow more certain about things. You will become more confident, and this will increase your sales every time you go out there. This is not an easy topic, but you guys need to understand that today the market has so many new stuff. If you're developing an app, I think it was about 4,000 new apps per day that's released in the world today. So it's not about creating the most super product. It's about knowing why they should buy. And there's a lot of different things in that category that decides why people are buying these days. So I will make a series quite soon that we will talk about sales process. We will talk about story selling. We will talk about what to look for when you meet an investor and so on. So you really seize the moments out there and walk on the path towards true independence as an entrepreneur. Once you do that, everything changes, my friends. So yeah, if you want to join our program, just go to vimentisvip.com. You will find the link here in the video as well. So yeah, hope you join the entrepreneurial revolution. So take care, guys.